just joining us now, we have Zoe Booth and we have Amit Anand. How are you both doing today?
Great, thank you. Really great to be here. Thank you so much for having us here at the Y Music Festival.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. Really excited to talk about everything. Why
Amazing.
music?
Yeah, exactly. So the point today was, really to give young people the opportunity to learn a bit more about ABRSM because many might have heard about exams, and that's about it, right? So I'm going to hand over to you to enlighten everyone, to talk to everyone about ABRSM and the wonderful work that you're doing.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, just to say again, it's great to be here on behalf of ABRSM at the Y Music Festival with everyone that's listening and watching. And we really are delighted to be involved. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Zoe Booth. I'm one of ABRSM's chief examiners and one of the 550 examiners or so that assess all of ABRSM's digital and practical exams from around the world. My background, though, I've been a flute player since I was 8 years old. I've always played the piano. I can't remember not playing the piano. And so music's always been a passion of mine, and I took it to college and university. And so now, alongside all the things that being a musician can involve, such as performing, writing, traveling, I'm really involved in music education, and I teach pupils of all ages, including lots of adults, as well as getting involved with ABRSM and some examining. Now, we've mentioned ABRSM a couple of times, and you might know a lot about ABRSM, but you also might never have heard of it. So in this session, we're hoping to provide an overview as to what ABRSM is all about. And we're also going to have some time for some music later and provide the chance to try Konako. And that's a kind of vocal percussion. So stay tuned and join in with us on that. Now, I keep saying we, so who is we? Allow me to introduce my friend Amit here, who is going to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Amit Anand. I'm an Indian-born, Glasgow-based composer, music teacher, recording engineer, and a performer. I engage myself with music making of all kinds. My composition outputs range from classical to film to, when it comes to film, it's also Indian film, where we compose songs and background scores, and hip hop and electronic dance music, electronic music, contemporary music. And now I'm here to talk about my composition outputs when it comes to educational music. So I teach piano music and music theory to pupils of all ages and levels, and I absolutely love doing that. And my relationship with ABRSM, just like everybody else's, began as a student taking graded exams. So preparing with excitement and performing with shaky hands and legs to an examiner. So those who are watching, if you can connect with that. And over the last 2 years, I've been strengthening that relationship through my compositional work as a direct result of graduating from their flagship composer mentoring program. More on that later. And I'm here to talk about all of those wonderful opportunities that I've got as a result of that.
Thanks, Amit. Really looking forward to speaking with you more about all of that later. So just a little bit about ABRSM. ABRSM stands for the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, and we are a global music education charity. ABRSM is actually more than 130 years old, and we're actually known throughout the world for our musical assessments, sheet music publishing, and other resources for learners and music teachers, as Amit's just mentioned. But truly, music is at the heart of everything we do at ABRSM. Amit, you and I know that music enriches lives, and so does everyone who is watching this. And that's our mission at ABRSM, to support learners from the first note they play, to advocate for music, and to encourage progress. So myself as a flute teacher, my pupils have always really enjoyed working through their ABRSM grades, which encourage a range of skills.
And so at this point, I just consider myself a real privilege to be talking alongside with, a chief examiner. And I know many people here are very excited about it too. So I'm very curious to know what inspired you to become an ABRSM examiner, and what do you want to say to pupils and teachers? One thing about an examiner.
Well, it's partly because of my teaching that I wanted to become an examiner. Part of the reason was my students, and they were always frightened of who or what the examiner may be. So I've really kind of empathized with that, having come up through the system myself. And you talked about those shaky fingers.
Yes.
I saw that in my students, who or what the examiner is. It's so terrifying. But I noticed they were never scared of me as their teacher. teacher. So I thought if I became an examiner, they would understand that examiners are there to support them through that opportunity to demonstrate what they've learned in an exam. So as an examiner, I've been doing this role since 2010, and I've been a chief examiner since 2022. And as a chief examiner, I spend lots of time, as you might imagine, listening to music, listening to exams, working with examiners, and like this morning, talking to students and teachers. So Amit, tell us a little bit more about your relationship with ABRSM.
Yes, so before I begin, from what I gather, so what you're saying is don't be scared of examiners. Is that correct?
Please don't be scared of examiners. Yeah, with that, we want you to do your best.
Thank you. So yes, my connection, I'm just going to talk about a couple of aspects here. So I'm connected with ABRSM as a teacher, and I'm fortunate to be working with very talented pupils, and I consider everybody is a very talented pupil. So ABRSM syllabus has provided a solid context for me to plan my lessons to ensure there is comprehensive musical development. Now, because participating in an exam is such a rewarding experience, preparing them for an ABRSM exam means that I'm not spending all my time in just teaching the pieces they want to learn, but giving them the skills such as reading and listening skills to make sure they eventually learn themselves whatever they want to learn. So I generally ask my students who shun the idea of, sometimes oral or sight reading. So I ask my students, do they take courses or lessons to understand or learn Harry Potter? So there's some confusion, but they understand when I say that because they know how to read, how to speak and understand a language, they're able to engage themselves and read whatever they want to read. They don't have to go to an English teacher all the time or a language teacher to learn. So it just opens up such an avenue, the whole world becomes their oyster because they have the reading and writing skills. So although pupils dislike sight reading, it not just them in the right direction, and that's what I really like about these ABRSM syllabus, because it just focuses not just on one aspect, but on the holistic development of a musician. So, and I'm very fortunate also to be in a position to be associated with ABRSM in my role as a composer. Being a part of the composer mentoring program was a very rewarding experience, and I'm very grateful to Black Lives in Music, Oliver Searle from RCS, and James Wilburn for considering me for this. The program was designed to help living composers who are young, at least in comparison to Mozart, Beethoven, or Bartok, to understand the ethos and principles ABRSM operates under. So we were introduced to various heads of departments to give us an idea of what it takes to run a global music education charity that supports learners and teachers from around the world. We met heads of publishing team to understand what it takes to be published in great books. We met one of the chief examiners to understand the marking criteria, the mindset of an examiner, how the examiner's intention is to help the pupil there, and also what is an examinable piece. And there were composing tasks to help composers understand what it takes to compose for educational settings in general, and especially composing for graded syllabus, and how to understand the careful planning that goes into curating a syllabus that meets various demands, various challenges, at the same time making it accessible and approachable to people from multiple backgrounds. So this program, which I was a part of, is a living and evolving program, and there are many wonderful outputs resulting from this.
Well, just listening to you talk, there's so many things that kind of, revolve in my world as well. My pupils really need their sight reading to join all their bands and orchestras and so on. But, hearing you talk as a teacher, you've got a lot of knowledge of the syllabus. It sounds like through the composer mentoring scheme, there was a different sort of knowledge of the syllabus coming from the other side. And actually, I know that congratulations are in order, because a piece that you have written does now appear on the new piano syllabus, which is very exciting. So tell us a bit about that.
Oh yes, I think that's the most exciting news of 2024. So the piece that, thank you. The reason being that, this piece is accessed by many pupils from different age ranges and backgrounds across the world. And since the launch of the syllabus, which was on June 6th, I think, there have been lots of videos popping up on YouTube of people playing my composition. So this piece is called Cyberspace Detective, and it's the first piece in the list C. What I really like about this is it's a positive change. Why? It's because I never dreamt that at my age, and again in comparison, I'm not young, but I'd like to think I'm young when it comes to comparing to Beethoven or Mozart. But anyway, at my age, I would be featured on this book because I've always, as a student, I've seen these books, and you see Mozart and Bartok and all these composers' names, and all my colleagues on this program were thrilled at the idea that one day among that list, just sitting there would be our names, and it's such a nice feeling because these composers have such a big vault of compositions for these instruments, and it's a nice feeling. But anyway, so one of the other presenters in this festival, Shruti Rajsekar, so her piece is in the current syllabus. So what's positive is that we are now, as teachers, when we access ABRSM syllabus, we are seeing people from women composers, composers from diverse traditional or cultural backgrounds. And so it's wonderful to see many cultures getting represented in the syllabus these days. And I'm aware there's lots been done already, and there's lots needs to be done, as with everything. But being a part of ABRSM, I can assure you that I'm seeing lots of movement in this direction.
Yes, I think because of our long history at ABRSM, people do associate us with European art music, and and of course that's something that we still want to champion. But music is music, isn't it? Let's be honest. ABRSM is still on that journey, as you say, to embrace ever more diverse musical styles. But there are already so many types of music associated with ABRSM. We've got Western art music, jazz, rock, blues, music from traditions across the globe, as you've mentioned. On the latest syllabuses, you're going to see some anime, you're going to see some gaming music, and some of our most recent and popular piano publications have included pop performer and piano inspiration, curated by Isata Kani Mason. So all of these things are really fantastic, and it's all going in the right direction. Now, Amit, it's just so lovely to speak to you. And as you say, we often think of composers being something from a long time ago. So a real life composer here to talk to today, and to feel that excitement of having the piece on the list. The fact that it's called Cyberspace Detective, just brings up so many questions. So tell me a bit more about why it's called that, and how the piece was chosen for the syllabus.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, Cyberspace Detective. I will get to that. But when I set out to compose my grade 1 piece, and during the part of the program, we had mentors, Alan Bullard, who's championed writing for educational music, Sarah Watts. So we were talking about what parameters, and ABRSM also provided us with a list of parameters. But at the heart of my goal was to ensure that the piece is engaging and fun. So people, when people play music, it's always nice to see when someone really plays it with emotion, brings out the character, and really engages with the piece. And I think all the pieces should set out to do that, primarily. And I referred to the list of parameters. And there's also a list of parameters that I expect my students to know confidently to be considered grade 1 pianists. So some of them include reading the intervals up to a sixth, quaver rhythms, dotted rhythms, key signatures that relate to the scales and arpeggios designed for that grade, set for that grade, and accidentals outside the key signature, arpeggios, broken triads, and a control over changes in articulation, etc., etc. So I think the syllabus team found that these elements were in my composition, were reflected there, and thought not only was it examinable, but also fun and engaging. And when it comes to fun and engaging, I think the first element of a piece is the title. And I've constantly seen this. Students really, there's a piece called Mozzie in the grade 2 syllabus, and my students have really engaged with that title, and they were very curious. What is Mozzie about? And when you read the program notes, it's about a mosquito, and it's like it just helps them paint a picture, and with visuals in their mind, they connect, and they're able to narrate a story through their performance. So in my program notes, it's called Cyberspace Detective because I feel that with the rise in AI, and a lot of students and teachers are going to be engaged in in internet world. So internet safety becomes paramount importance, and children need to be aware of that. Children should be aware that just like detectives like Sherlock Holmes here and there, helping us in the physical world, there are some detectives out there, ethical hackers, who ensure that we are looked after safely on internet. And this piece is an ode to them, and also a reminder of internet safety.
Sounds brilliant. Can't wait to play it. So just listening to you talk very briefly, I'm guessing that you're a big fan of music theory then as a composer.
Oh yes, music theory. It's just the mathematical engineering side of me, just the lights pop up. But yes, I strongly believe that theory should be learned through the pieces they are learning, so right from day one. So here's an analogy, just to make things easy. Now let's say I'm driving on a motorway from Glasgow to London, and I need to read the board to ensure I'm heading in the right direction. Now imagine I have to stop every single time there's a board to read the board to check if I can spot London, and then continue until the next board comes up. Or is it practical to look at the word as a single unit and learn to read it at 70 miles per hour without causing any traffic jams? So similarly, when a pupil covers theory lessons while learning their pieces, it helps them label the notes and process them as single unit rather than individual notes and starting and stopping each time to check what note to play. So I believe music theory is essential at all levels, but the reason why ABRSM makes it compulsory is that it lays a strong foundation for grade 6 onwards and helps them navigate complex technical passages. I mean, as a flute teacher, do you agree with that, Zoe? I mean, irrespective of instrument, music theory is essential, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I want my pupils to be musicians and lifelong musicians as well.
Yeah.
So it's all about, getting the foundations, getting getting everything in there. And this is why it's important to ABRSM. ABRSM, we're often asked about the reason that students need to have passed grade 5 in either theory or jazz or practical musicianship to access those grade 6 and above. But you've made it really clear why. It is about that breadth of musical education, isn't it?
I just wanted to ask you, because I was a part of the another mentoring program, and I came across, so ABRSM is known for graded exams, but I sort of regret that there's so many other exams that I didn't know about. Let me just not generalize that. Could you just throw some light on different options that are there?
Absolutely. Well, if you're interested in finding out about some of the other things, we all know about the grades and how important they are. We've now got initial grade as well as grade 1 to 8. We all know how important grade 8 is. But actually, at the beginner's end, we've got music medals. We've got an experiential exam called the prep test, which is for beginners. And then at the other side of things, we've got diplomas, which go to a very advanced level indeed. And then there are really accessible exams, such as the open music assessment, which is a music experience with no marks awarded. So there's quite a lot out there. That's just a few of those types of exams. When I started examining, there were actually no exams for things like singing for musical theatre, drum kit, or percussion in quite the same way as there are now. And of course, we've got digital exams since 2021 as well. So there's ever such a lot to find out about. But it feels like we've come to that part where it's time for some music. So great to be chatting with you, Amit. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do well, I'm going to get Amit to talk to us about conical. Now, you may already, if you're listening and watching this, know about conical, but I didn't really know very much about this until Amit and I had a conversation recently. So, Amit, get us involved in something.
Yeah, let me actually start with some demonstration. So I'll just go with this. Da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, ga, da, ga, da, ga, da, ga, da, ki, da, da, ki, da, da, ki. Taki, taka dimi, taka dimi, taka dimi, taka dimi, taka taki, taka taki, taka taki, taka taki, 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 taka dimi, taki, taka dimi, taki, taka dimi, taki, taka dimi, 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 taka taki, taka dimi, taka taki, taka dimi, taka taki, taka dimi, taka taki. So what I just did there was, if you noticed, I was clapping the pulse, which was stable and consistent, but each beat of that pulse was divided. I started with 1 syllable per beat and 2 syllables, 3, and then all the way up to 9. So in the UK, in schools, we're already learning Kodai methodology, which sort of uses TD and all these things. So using syllables to understand the rhythms. So Kunukul is a South Indian rhythmic language. So it's almost like a rhythmic art form, and it's become a global phenomenon right now. So it starts in South India, and musicians of this classical tradition all access that, but it's especially popular among percussionists. And the syllables that we use are believed to be a translation of the sound of an instrument, of a percussion instrument called mridangam. And so we have these different syllables: ta, di, gi, na, tom, and they all. So if I say that and an instrumentalist, mridangam player plays it, you can actually hear the sounds come through. There's also another set of syllables called padant that relates to tabla, which is in the North Indian classical music. So I'm aware that we have less time, so I don't want to get too much into it. Let's have a separate session for it. But Zoe, is it possible that you can participate in a small fun activity, and everybody watching this can also take part from their own respective places? If you noticed, just briefly, Kunukul is all about establishing that time signature, and each time signature has a specifically choreographed clapping techniques. So today, let's just quickly learn how to clap an 8-beat cycle. So Zoe, first beat of an 8-beat cycle is indicated by the palms, the clap. So that's how we know that's the first beat. The second beat is just the little finger here. So that's how you indicate that. Sorry if you can't see that. And the third beat is the ring finger. And the fourth beat is the middle finger. So let's just break that down. Can we just practice clapping and indicating the first 4 beats? So 1, 2, off we go. Clap, pinky, ring, middle.
Okay,
so that's the first 4 beats. And the 5, 6, 7, 8 are indicated as follows. The 5th beat is the clap again. And the 6th beat, you usually wave. So there's no sound to that. And the 7th beat is a clap again. And the 8th beat is a wave again. So let's just put the last 4 beats together. 5, 6, off we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Can we just put that, put all the 8 beats together at this pulse? 5, 6, off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what's challenging and what's what's really fun about this is there is, in a phrase, when a percussionist composes a phrase, there are multiple underlying time signatures that are composed on a foundation of a particular time signature. So but at the same time, Kunukul makes polyrhythm very easy. So 1 more minute to just learn a syllable. Can we just try this clapping by saying ta, ka, di, mi? 1 syllable per clap. So ta, ka, di,
ti,
mi.
mi.
So let's just try that. 5, 6, off we go. Ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ka, di, mi.
Oh, it's a lot to coordinate. It's great.
I'm going to just squeeze 8 of these syllables in 1 beat, and then we'll be handing over so takadimi, 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 takadimi. So anyway.
Wow, that was amazing. I was only managing to do 1 per beat. I guess I'm going to have to work my way up to doing 8 per beat. Amit, that was just amazing. Thank you so much. It's really great to be introduced, in my case, to Conical and that South Indian Carnatic tradition. So thank you so much. And I hope that anyone who's been trying that out there has been enjoying that as much as I have. Amit, you mentioned that we're running really short of time, so we are going to have to go in a second. So to everyone who's watching, really do enjoy the rest of the Y Music Festival. Thank you so much for listening to this, a short presentation from ABRSM.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to hand over to Nate. Hi there, Nate.
Yes. Thank you so much. I was there. I think
You've got it.
I need to practice too. It'd be great to yeah, we need to learn more. I think it's so important. The more we learn about, other ways of counting and other ways of expressing ourselves through music, it just helps us to become more expressive, and it helps us to connect even more, doesn't it? So thank you so much for sharing about everything that ABRSM is doing, and has done in the past as well. And I'm sure there are lots of young people who are keen to hear more, and hopefully to play your piece as well, Amit.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so before we go, ABRSM have been very, very generous, and we're going to give away a few different bundles. So there's a guitar bundle that's amazing for schools. There's also an amazing keyboard bundle, and there's a recorder bundle. So one lucky school is going to get all three of those bundles, right? So if you could, actually, we've been doing drum rolls, but if you could, let's see if we can do one cycle, and then I'll pull a name out of my cup here. All right.
So just do one cycle of any rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could just, I'm just going to try. So drum roll.
And the winner is Helen, Edenbridge Primary. Helen from Edenbridge Primary. So we will be getting those over to you. Thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you so much, Amit. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nate.
And thank you so much.
And everyone who's been listening, we appreciate you. There's going to be another amazing guest coming on, Chris, who's going to be joining us very, very, very soon. So until then, I'm going to stick some music on. Enjoy the music. Thank you once again, Amit. Thank you once again, Zoe. And
thanks so much for having us.
Everyone again in a minute. Thank you so much.
See you.